Welcome to the Publishing Performance Show, the podcast that helps self-published authors turn their passion into a profit. Now, I'm your host, Teddy Smith, and if you're serious about building a sustainable business, then you're in the right place. Every week, I sit down with successful authors, industry experts, and publishing professionals who share their exact strategies they use right now to how they've grown their business, grow their readership, increase their book sales, and essentially to make a bit more money. Now, whether you're just starting out or you're looking to scale your existing publishing business, you'll walk away from every episode with actionable insights you can implement immediately. Now, if you're new here, it would really help me out if you could subscribe either on Apple or Spotify or YouTube or wherever you are. Just simply hit the subscribe button. It really helps the show to get more reach, which means we can get better guests for you and we can help you out in more ways. All right, let's dive into this episode. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Publishing Performance Show. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Jo Blackwell, who's a writer, podcaster and researcher, and she's built a personal brand serving women over 50. So thanks for joining the podcast, Jo.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm really happy to be here.
It's nice to speak to you in a slightly different format because we've been working together a little bit over the last few months. And so it's good to sort of see, really what you've built and show everyone else. So really excited to have this conversation. So what I thought we'd start talking about was talking a bit about your background and where you started, what you were doing before you started building a personal brand and kind of those steps which led you up to where you are now. So why don't we go for a bit through like your background and where you started?
Right. Well, I haven't had a corporate background at all. I had 4 children and it was at a time when you could actually bring up children with just one income. So I stayed at home with the children until they were grown. And then I hit perimenopause and everything just kind of blew up. I was actually working as a writer while the children were small, but then I gave that all up to go and help my husband set up his business, which was a huge mistake. I left there in the end because I decided I'd rather stay married than stay working with my husband. But so I went through perimenopause and it was at a time when we weren't talking about that kind of thing. And I thought I was going completely mad. And I just really had a horrible time. And I came out the other side not wanting other people to go through, other women to go through what I'd gone through, particularly my daughters. And I wrote my way out of the depression that I'd fallen into by writing a blog called Project 50. So I wanted to get back into writing again, and I decided to do it through a blog. And basically it was me talking, wailing about, I don't want to turn 50, I think it's the end, and so on and so forth, which I later turned into a book called Crap, I'm 50, Journey from Fearful to Fabulous sometimes. Because I do manage fabulous every now and again on a Tuesday about 6:00, But I then became a professional photographer quite by accident. Because this was at the age of 48, coming up to 50, because I wanted to interview other people that were in their 50s to give me an idea of what it was like, to give me inspiration about the fact that getting older wasn't so bad and it wasn't going to be just this decline that we're all told that it is. And I wanted to take their photographs and I, put those into a book. So I went off onto a course that I found on the internet. And when I got there, I realized it was for professional photographers. And there I was with my husband's camera that I'd never used and, never been off auto. It was a bit embarrassing. That's one of the great things about being older is you don't, get so embarrassed as you used to when you're young. But I absolutely loved it. So from there, I went on and I worked for 14 years as a portrait photographer. I started with weddings, then a portrait photographer, and then eventually most of my work was with brands and, one-man bands and so on, brand photography basically, and helping people develop their presence visually online. And then I founded the Midlife Movement in 2018, which was all about midlife and starting to research the latest science on aging and, the realizing that all these narratives that we have about decline are just outdated. The latest science actually shows that we improve in so many ways as we get older. And we are kind of subject to this societal thing. We've got an aging population and it's a bad thing. And I want to show that, which is a problem because it, leaches into policy and things like that. I wanted to show that actually, if you take in all these cultural messages, you actually become self-ageist. And once you're believing those things yourself and you're telling yourself those things, I'm too old to do this, I can't do that, it's too late to start, etc., that's when you start to close down. And that is when you get old. So that's been my work I coached for a little while, but now it's mainly writing and disseminating the research into aging.
Yeah.
In a way that people can, not understand, it makes it sound as if I think nobody can understand it, but just in an accessible way and a way that we can discuss and apply to our own lives.
Yeah. As a writer, how important for you was it that you started to build that personal brand?
I think it was hugely important, really, because I had people that I could put ideas out to and see what they were interested in. And that was really interesting. And obviously then I've got an audience there as well that buy the book when it comes out. The book that recently came out is selling. So I don't know if it would have been as easy to get it started if I hadn't already built that audience.
Yeah. Do you think it was an active decision to start building that personal brand, or were you writing and then it kind of organically happens?
I started off, I had a personal brand as a photographer, so I had to switch it. So I was quite well known locally.
Yeah.
And then going online with the work that I was doing, obviously that's global. It doesn't matter where people are, to read and enjoy. I went onto YouTube. So I started off with my podcast on YouTube, and then I've taken that off and it's just audio now because my YouTube videos are me talking about various subjects, and that seems to have hit a nerve more than this is the problem with social media is you have to feed the algorithm. If you confuse it by having two formats on one platform, for example, it can just confuse the algorithm and suppress everything. So I decided that I would use YouTube for my solo videos, and then I also use Substack for written work, and the two feed each other. So I use it as a loop.
Yeah. So with your personal brand, what is it, do you think, that you want people to associate you with? Like, what is your personal brand?
Oh gosh, I should have prepared that, shouldn't I? Well, my personal brand is I'm a disseminator of information, and I'm quite warm and fuzzy, I'm quite fluffy. And I think actually I learnt this when I was a photographer. I tried to be somebody I wasn't. I felt I had to be hip rather than arthritic hip, because it's quite a young person's game, photography. And I eventually realized that people actually related to my grandmotherly vibe and my motherly vibe. And so I leaned into that because I can't be anybody. And that's what I would say to anybody who's wanting to build a brand. You've got to be who you are, and you've got to be true to your values and true to yourself. And so I learnt that the hard way because people came to me who wanted that. So that's what I needed to give them. So I carried that over into, if you ever watch my YouTube videos, I am just me. I'm just talking. Obviously, I have points that I want to get across, and they're all quite focused on certain areas. I talk about confidence. I talk about self-ageism, starting over, reinvention, things like that. But I'm 100% just talking to one woman who needs to hear what I have to say. And it's all about helping women feel that they're not alone, because that's really powerful, and being seen and heard as well. So the comments, the conversation in the comments is important, because people so often, I think it was David Alsberger who said, to be seen and heard is close to being loved. People need that, especially as we get older and we become more invisible. And I think particularly women start to feel invisible as they get past a certain age. And to have somebody there that they feel she gets me. So that is my personal brand. I'm there as a warm, friendly online friend.
Yeah,
rather
definitely.
than somebody who's just telling them information.
I love that thing you said at the beginning about being yourself, because I think I read a quote once that was, no one can compete with you at being you. So it's really important to be yourself, because then you're in a very small talent pool of one.
Exactly. And you just have to, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. You just need to talk to the people that you can help or that are going to buy your book. You don't need to be liked by everybody.
Yeah. Having said what I just said, though, was there anything that you did to try and not work on your personality, but to try and improve the way that you either come across or the way you get your message across?
Yes, I've tried. I became very aware, because obviously when you're recording now, I do what they all say you shouldn't do. I use my front camera. myself.
I'll put the notes in the chat of how you can get my setup.
But I talk to myself because I imagine I'm someone else, if you see what I mean. So I'm talking to one woman, and it's the same with the podcast. I like to feel that they feel they're sitting around a table with my guest and I, and having a chat and a coffee, you know. And I realised that I move around a lot for a start, so I started to try and be much more still in my podcast. I try to stop umming and ahhing quite as much.
Yep, you can definitely practice that.
You can, yeah, absolutely. And really, things like waffling, you know, and going off on a tangent, I'm very good at that, as you know, and I've probably already done it on here. But just bringing myself back and focusing, you know, it's not so hard to focus for 12 minutes or however long the video is, which is what I tell myself. Come on, Jo, it's not this difficult. You can focus for that long. So yes, I did improve my delivery, I think. I think also I was talking quite slowly. I think because I was thinking and talking at the same time, I realised that my delivery was quite slow.
Okay.
And I often get comments about how soothing my voice is. And I don't always want it to be soothing. Until people falling asleep. I want them to hear what I have to say.
So at the moment, your brand is built on YouTube and Substack. How did you decide which of those platforms to use, and how do you use those two platforms differently to reach your audience? Just a quick shout out to all the romance authors out there. Now, if you're tired of shouting into the void every time you launch a brand new romance book, then let myromancereads.com do the shouting for you. They have a list of over 18,000 romance readers who love getting books when they're on discounts or on the free promotion. And it goes into their inbox every single day. It's got an amazing open rate, and every promotion gets on average over 600 clicks. That's a lot of new readers for your new series of romance books. So head to myromancereads.com where you can sign up today.
Well, I built my photography business on Facebook at a time when Facebook gave you reach. And I had a big group on there as well, you know, of over 1,000 women at one time. That is just not, it's dead now. As soon as they brought in, I'm not for everybody, some people can work it, but for me, that just died and it doesn't work for me at all. I can have, you know, I've got something like 1,800 followers, I think, on the Facebook page. I still have the presence there. But if I post a post on my Facebook page, maybe 5 will see it. So it's a complete waste of effort. So I started looking around for other things. I'm on Instagram. I don't like Instagram. I should like Instagram because it would be a very good platform for me to be. And the same with TikTok. There's a huge midlife female presence on TikTok. It's just not for me. It doesn't gel with me at all. And I think it's really important that you choose a platform that you enjoy. So I use Pinterest as well, but I use Pinterest as a search engine, which is what it is basically, just a visual search engine. And I'm just rebuilding that because that's I kind of neglected that for a while. And I'm just resurfacing my LinkedIn because I want to I want to collaborate with other people in this field. But my main two, I decided on YouTube, mainly through watching my son. He's built his brand on YouTube. He's a reactor. And I watched how he was doing it. And I thought, you know, I can do that. My first love is writing. And I felt I expressed myself better in writing because I could think about it, I could correct it, etc. But once I got into the swing of speaking, I realized it was much more immediate. Also, it's not as scary as it would be. I mean, I do sometimes do lives. I'm always nervous before I do a live. Don't know why. People are lovely. Yeah, I chose it because it's immediate and because it was easy to build a platform. Well, no, I'm underplaying that. I just rewind because it's not easy. But once you get going, it can be.
Yeah.
Rephrase it that way. You know, getting those first 1,000 subscribers. But if you're not obsessed with the figures, if you're not trying to make a living on YouTube, you're just doing it for your reach. Actually, it's quite an enjoyable thing to do.
Yeah. I like with YouTube, I've got some videos that I made like 4 years ago and they still get, 100 views a week or something like that. It's just quite good.
Yeah, that is good. Because I find that I had one breakout video, 250,000 views, and everything went crazy. And all of a sudden, something's happened with the algorithm and it's all slowed down. So now I'm sort of averaging between 200 and 800 views. So it's completely different to how it was just 12 months ago. So I've learnt, because my son always says to me, will you stop looking at the figures? Just stop, take it off your phone, stop looking at the analytics, because it's, it'll just stop you doing what you're doing. And I thought, yeah, he's absolutely right. I still check it every day. He's absolutely right. I know I shouldn't.
And when it comes to Substack is sort of relatively new platform in terms of how popular it's got. It's been around for a while, but it's just recently got popular, and especially with writers, and most of the audience listening to this are writers. It's been a great platform for building personal brands with a lot of celebrities jumping on there and stuff like that. How have you found Substack? Like, what's been your strategy for growing on there? Like, what sort of content are you writing? What's your plan with it?
Well, I put the podcast on there. So I send a newsletter every Tuesday with the podcast. So
and sorry, your podcast is you're interviewing other people mostly, or is it
interviewing other people?
Yeah, exactly.
Having conversations with other people about all kinds of subjects around midlife and growing older, basically, and how to grow older better.
Yeah.
So that's on there. And then on a Thursday, I repurpose my YouTube video I take the text and I put it into a blog. So I might put something different in it, but it's basically the same subject. And then I link to the YouTube video if you'd like to listen to this, and hear some more ideas. Here's the YouTube video. And the idea is that I also do it with Substack, but I haven't really got onto that yet. I have a note, you can read on Substack and what have you, because that's where I'm building my email list on Substack. I think that the reason that Substack has started to become more popular is because of notes. So there's a feature on it where, it's like social media, and it's like it used to be on Facebook. So what I find wonderful is it's very supportive on there. It's very much all these little ships. I know there's celebrities on there and what have you, but the ethos on there generally is we're all going to lift each other up. So if I read an article would be interesting to my audience, I will maybe get a quote from it, but you just highlight it and restack it with a note, or you can recommend other people's stacks and that kind of thing. So it becomes very collaborative and very friendly. And I like that. I think that collaboration is so important when we're trying to build a brand, trying to build, our presence as writers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very friendly place. It's clunky to start with. It took me a while to work it out. But you go on Substack, you'll soon get plenty of messages with people offering to teach you how to do it. So
one big part of your brand as well is you've written quite a few books. I'm not talking about the books you wrote before, although we can talk about this later, but I'm talking about the books you've written as part of your over 50s brand. Yeah. When it comes to writing, you're thinking about what you're going to write in your next book, or even the books you've previously written, how has the building the brand element of it had an impact on what you decided to write?
I look at my comments. I look at the questions that people are asking me. I put polls on YouTube, to see whether or not what people are interested in. If I was to write a book on this, for example, I haven't worded it like that, but I've said, would you like a video on confidence next, or this or that, or work, or whatever. And then they'll vote, and I see patterns. If anybody has a Facebook group, what's really useful, I have pillars that I kind of, there's work, there's health, etc. I made myself a spreadsheet color-coded with my pillars. And in the group, whenever somebody joined the group, I had questions and I recorded the subjects they were talking about. Because the questions like, what concerns you most? What brings you most happiness now that you're older? And I would put those things in my spreadsheet. And over time, obviously anonymously, and I didn't keep any data if anybody's listening. Over time, you can see these patterns emerge, that my audience wants this or is interested in that. And that's what's kind of informed after Oh Crap, I'm 50, which was purely for me and is a very personal book, obviously. Excuse me. And then I brought out a book of the photographic project that I did, which was portraits of women over 40 without their makeup, just picked up by the BBC. I brought that book out, and then my latest book, Aging Wonderfully Well, is the culmination of all the work that I've done in the last few years. bringing it all together it's the good news about midlife and growing older.
Yeah.
Because there is some, but that is what I've realized my audience needs. They need to, when everything feels like it's all gone to, Timbuktu, not wanting to swear on your podcast, then they need to hear. We need role models. We need people that we can follow, that we can see as an example for what we could be at all ages. And it's not that I'm trying to be a role model, but I'm trying to bring role models into the sphere so that they can see other people. Like with that original book that I made, 50 Facing 50, I wrote my way out of depression. Honestly, it was just wonderful. And I realized that I lacked connection. So that was what I needed, because I went all over the country collecting these stories from people, staying in their homes, being taken out for dinner, and it was lovely. And then I had all these photographs of these people and their stories about how they felt about being older. And that brought me out of the slump that I was in, because all these vibrant people just gave me hope for my own future.
Yeah. And the book Aging Wonderfully Well, let's go. So the reason you wrote that book was for all the things you just talked about. So it was about giving hope to women, and especially when they're sort of becoming over 50. What is inside the book that helps them to age wonderfully well?
Well, the first section is talking about the outdated narratives and the way we've been brought up, what we've been taught about aging, these things that have gone into our psyche and that we believe, and talking about age beliefs and about how we think about older people, and getting people to just think about what words they use when they think of somebody elderly, that kind of thing. I talk about the new life stages that we have now. And then the middle section is dealing with all the aspects. So there's hormones, I've got people from my podcast I've added bits from them, from the podcast, with their permission, because I'm not an expert in everything, obviously, and about work and all this kind of thing. And then the final section is called Becoming. And it's about the latest research, the brain research, the things that challenge what we believe, so that we can reset our own beliefs to our benefit and live a happier and healthier older life, basically, because your beliefs really affect the way you age.
When it came to writing that book, I think you had a few challenges with like getting your final draft done. I remember. What was it like? How did you overcome sort of things like any writer's block or any problems you had with getting your book like actually published? How did you overcome those problems?
I used AI what I used AI for. I haven't written it with AI, but I used it. If I was stuck and I couldn't work out why I was stuck, I would say, can you read this chapter and tell me, am I repeating myself? Am I, and it's very good at that kind of process. So I used it as a copy editor, as an editor, basically, insofar as it pointed things out to me.
That's interesting.
And that unplugged me. That kind of took the cork out for me, because I went, oh, of course, I've already said that. I'm just saying it in a different. I couldn't see it. I was too close to it to see it, and that is what a human editor would do, isn't it? But I didn't have the funds to work with a real life editor. So that light touch, using AI as an assistant like that, I think it is very useful. I know there's a lot of opinions about AI.
No, it's good. I mean, it's good the way you're using it as a tool rather than it just to create all the content for you. It's going through what you've written and saying, have you considered this? This is where you've repeated it. This is a callback to previous parts of the book. Like, I think, that's the perfect use of AI. And it's kind of like how I've used it exactly in my writing as well, like taking what you've already written and going back and finding patterns. Yes.
And also, it's programmed to blow smoke up your...
Yeah.
So it's really good. This is really...
It's like that South Park episode.
And so sometimes I chose to believe it just for long enough to get the next chapter written. It was, it was an interesting experience. It was the first time I've used AI as an assistant in my work, sort of as a side-by-side companion like that. And I found it very interesting.
Yeah, interesting. And obviously, with your brands being aimed at people that are over 50 and you sort of starting it around that sort of same time, did you find there were any advantages you had, launching a brand at that age versus like disadvantages that you might have against someone younger, for example?
I think that You tend to have more confidence. You tend to know who you are more as you get older. Now I'm well into my 60s now, so I wouldn't have say I was that confident at 50. But you have experience. You have, dare I say it, some wisdom. You have much more clarity about what you want to say, even if it doesn't come out your mouth sometimes. Um, and you have this kind of drive really to create legacy. So, I mean, Jeff Bezos said that your personal brand is what other people say about you when you walk out of the room. And I always kept that in mind. What do I want people to be saying about me when they walk out of the room? Because I'm assuming that your audience knows what a personal brand is. It's not just a headshot or a pretty website. It's about your voice, how it translates what you want to put across on every touch point. It's not about coming up with a complicated strategy. It's about knowing who you are. And I think that was an advantage because I'd got to the point by that time I'd done the work and I kind of know who I am now, as I say, fluffy and grandmotherly. The main problem that I had was overcoming the fear of creating that brand or putting myself out there. And I came up with a few tips, if that's useful.
Yep, let's do it.
This is what I used anyway, just 3, because I started speaking before COVID. I was speaking quite a lot and I really do need to get back into that again because I'm back in the fear now. So I'm talking to myself now. No one will judge you more harshly than you judge yourself. And that's something that you need to bear in mind because I didn't want to get up on the stage because I felt I was too old. I was I was too crotchety. I was too too fat, too frumpy, all of these things, that go through your head. I don't know if men have these things. Do you? Do you have these kind of insecurities?
No, I haven't got any hair, so that's kind of my main one.
Who wants to listen to me? All of this kind of thing. You just have to. The way I got over it is I realised that the message that I wanted to get across was far more important than me and how I looked or how I was going to be judged or. So I just had to get out of my own way and just think about the message and not me. I'm just the vessel for the message.
Mm-hmm.
And then just that simple advice of picturing one person that you know and speaking to that person. And when I say speaking, it's not just from a stage. I mean, in every post that you make, every video that you make, you think of that one person that needs what you have to say or would really enjoy your book. Speak to that person. It might be someone you know, or you can make somebody up. Just imagine them, Like I say, I use my fronts. I kind of talk to myself because I was my ideal client sort of thing when I was working as a photographer. So I've kind of just carried on with that really. So yeah, I think the advantages of age, we're so much more, if we allow ourselves to be, we're very willing to try new things and learn new modalities. Like, I'm a digital immigrant, not a digital native, for example. When I wrote my first book, I wrote it on an Amstrad 8526 or 8256, and then I upgraded to the 951. Anyway, it had a green screen, green letters on the screen and floppy disks. But before that, I was writing pen and paper, or with a normal typewriter. So that was a huge upgrade. And now, I'm using AI, I'm using Riverside, I'm using YouTube. I love learning new platforms, new things. I think sometimes when you're younger, you are afraid to make a mistake. We're not afraid to make mistakes. We've made so many and realize that we survive that actually, my son always says, that didn't work. Brilliant. I'm one step closer to finding something that does. Is this mental illness or is this?
Yeah.
this it is true. You have to fail in order to succeed. And every failure takes you closer.
So for a lot of people, so say there are people who are maybe over 50 or they're nearing over 50 and they're thinking about starting like their own brand or they want to start writing. Apart from just saying, just get on with it. Like, what's the advice like that you give to people to make it good, what they're doing? Don't just, because a lot of people just say, get on with it and just get started. And I know it's kind of good advice, but it's also, how would you actually help someone who's like wanting to build a brand or start writing at that age?
Build a brand. Well, I would pick one platform that you enjoy So whether that's YouTube, whether that's Instagram, I would pick one, make an account on that. I would think about very carefully before you start, and this is for anybody, any age, but think about what makes you recognizable and what makes you trusted, because this is what you're trying to do, is build trust so that people will, know, like, trust. Decide your boundaries, how much are you going to share? Now, and be prepared to sort of, because once things are out there, they're out there, but be prepared to pivot if you need to. I made what I thought was an amusing video not long the other day. And I'm just starting to think, maybe I should set that to unlisted because I'm actually approaching a serious subject now. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes you have to think, but decide your boundaries straight away. Are you going to talk about your husband or your wife or whatever? Are you going to talk about your personal life? Are you going to talk about your mental health? What do you want to keep private? Because this is up to you. I think we sometimes think that when we see other people on social media, you can always tell when there's some guru out there telling people to do something. I don't know if you remember the trend for the crying CEO. That's what I call it anyway.
No.
It was on LinkedIn, and all of a sudden, all these CEOs were making these videos where they were recalling traumatic events in their lives and really ugly crying on LinkedIn. It was bizarre, but you just knew they'd all taken this coaching program, or they were all in this coaching cohort or what have you, because these trends happen. You do you. Make sure that this is all about you personally and decide what you want to share. Don't try to be everywhere. As I say, pick one platform and master that, and then you can add in a second one. For a writer, the mildest one is Substack. The easiest one to start with, I think, is Substack, because you don't have to do videos and things.
One of the questions I get the most is about how you decide what content to actually make. So you're talking about, because we talked about like the things, don't just follow the trends. How do you decide what sort of content it is that I should make? How do you plan that out?
Right. Well, people are really interested in, it seems, I haven't done this, but if I was just writing, people are interested in the writing process. So I think if you look at you look at your favorite authors and look at what they do. And very often, every sort of like 6 or 7 posts, they'll put something on it, like behind the scenes, or, a picture of themselves on the computer, or they'll do an unboxing of their latest book, or that sort of thing. Every now and again, something personal. I've just had beautiful lunch with my daughter, or whatever. They like to feel that people like to feel that they know you. They only have to know the part of you want them to know. So bear that in mind. I can't stress that enough. Don't feel bullied into sharing more than you want to. If you're a quiet, if you're introverted, if you're a private person, you don't have to share. I mean, you wouldn't believe, that I'm introverted. I am in real life. And I do share an awful lot because I share mental health and things like that, because it's useful for my audience, and it fits with my brand of you're not alone. I got through this, and so will you. Do you see what I mean? So for me, and in my sphere, it builds trust if I'm willing to be vulnerable, not snot crying. Just that's not me. If I did that, it would be so false.
Yeah,
you'd probably have to put onions in my eyes, and but you feel it. I mean, I was repulsed by those posts. That really repulsed me, because it was like, I know that person. That is not what they're like in real life. It's like, I don't like it. You can repurpose things like I do with my YouTube videos. You can do different formats. So also be really willing to collaborate with other people, other writers, for example. Be willing to promote their latest book, and, in return for them to promote your latest book. Sort out a newsletter so that you have, capturing people's emails so that you can send them those details, because people do want to know. Talking about what you're working on. So, for example, when I was working on outdated narratives, I'd do a video about outdated narratives. I'm about to do a mini series of for some of the chapters in the book to promote the book, because it's all about promotion now, isn't it? Engage with the audience. I answer every single comment. Now, if I was as successful as my son, with his millions of views and tens of thousands of comments, he's gone beyond that. He can't do that. But at the level that I'm at, or if you're starting out, that's the best bit. It's wonderful to hear other people's takes on things. And if somebody says something you don't like, you just delete it. It's like, I think of my social media comments as like coming into my living room. You come into my living room and be rude, you're out. I'm not making you a cup of tea. You come in and have a respectful dialogue. I don't mind you disagreeing with me as long as it's respectful,
Yeah, definitely.
That was something that I think stops a lot of people over 50. It stopped me for a long time. I was too scared of what would happen. That I would have really unpleasant comments about the way I look and all that kind of thing. I think as a woman, you worry about that as well. But touch wood, so far, I have had some, not about my appearance, but some really kind of unpleasant comments. I just block them and delete them.
It's hard to not take it personally.
You remember that one negative comment, don't you? Even though you've had 20 positive ones, like reviews.
And in your book, Aging Wonderfully Well, I know it's not about building a personal brand, but obviously part of your aging wonderfully well was building a personal brand after the age of 50. So in your book, tell us about some of the things that you talk about. Like, what are the main topics you talk about when it comes to that aging wonderfully well?
Well, as I say, it's mostly about self-ageism, it's about rethinking how we age. And it's about realizing that life doesn't end at 50 when your children leave home, if you've had children, or when your career starts to tank, which it often does after 50. There's 25, I can't remember the figures, sorry. There's a lot of women end up leaving the workforce during perimenopause due to the symptoms that they experience. Now, we've got a lot of legislation coming in now, which is, to treat it as something that you can have an adjusted workplace and things like that, like any other kind of chronic thing. Also, I talk about the fact that it's temporary, that you come through it, that my brain is, believe it or not, is clearer now than it was 10 years ago. So the brain fog, there's a reason why you have brain fog. When I went through all this, none of this was being talked about. We talked to, that the only thing I knew about menopause was my mum used to say about the change, and it was always a whisper. And now that we're talking about it and things are in the open, there is a danger that it's seen as a disability. It's not a disability, and that would disadvantage us again. It's not a disability. It's something that you adjust for. So if you are struggling with your concentration and you can't, bang out a report the way you used to. I used to write through the night, Teddy. And, if I was writing a book, I could write a book in a week and I'd just work. Occasionally I'd eat something. Occasionally I'd fall asleep at my desk. But, it wasn't good for me. But I could do it. Now, if I stay up after midnight working, I can't work the next day. I'm just finished. So, and it's also talking about adjusting because energy isn't what it was. So I work with my energy and things, and I talk about all those kinds of things. It's not all about me. I occasionally put an example in from my own experience, but I bring together the research and the campaigning that's going on. And apart from that middle section, which is more practically orientated, it's about awareness. It's about making people aware of what's happening to them, B, why you don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe the attitudes towards it, and about challenging your own age beliefs so that you can do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Becoming self-employed and building a personal brand after 50 is one of the greatest self-development periods that I've ever been through. Wow. It's been fantastic. And my life has opened up. I'm not saying I was unhappy bringing up 4 children and et cetera, et cetera. I wasn't unhappy, but I've never been happier than I am in my 60s.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. What a great note to end it on.
So much to look forward to.
Yeah, that'll be the quote for the podcast, I think. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great seeing your development with the personal brand and with your books and how well they're going. So If people want to get your book and also to find you on Substack and Instagram and everywhere else where you are, YouTube, do you want to tell us how they can do that?
Well, my website brings everything together, and that is Jo Blackwell. It's Jo without an E, being a girl. joblackwell.co.uk. But if you search for Midlife and Beyond with Jo Blackwell, that's where you'll find me on all the platforms. So my name's in it as well.
And Aging Wonderfully Well, that's available obviously on Amazon. And
it is, yes. I'll send you a link.
It's in the show notes, so you'll be able to click a link on it. But thank you. Yeah. Well, thanks, Jo. It's been great chatting, and good luck with the book launch and everything else. And speaking soon. Thank you so much for tuning into the Publishing Performance Show. I really hope you found today's episode inspiring. I absolutely love chatting to authors, writers, and people in the publishing world. Now, just before we wrap up, I want to tell you about our Publishing Performance Starter Packs. These are curated episodes and collections organised by topic that makes it super easy to find the exact content you're looking for. So whether you're wanting to deep dive into marketing strategies, explore productivity techniques, or focus on any specific area of publishing, we've organised our episodes into targeted playlists just for you. And you can find these all at teddyagsmith.com. And also, whilst you're here, let me tell you about Publishing Performance. It's the #1 platform for authors who want to increase Amazon book sales but aren't really sure where to start. Now, this show is all about helping you to sell more books, and if you're looking to boost your publishing game and to maximise your book's potential on Amazon, then Publishing Performance is designed to help authors just like you to grow your readership and to reach a much wider audience. Now, I know that Amazon ads can be slightly complicated, which is why Publishing Performance is like having a personalised ad account manager to create your ad campaigns for you, to choose your best keywords and to make adjustments in real time and to optimise them over time to save you money and to make more sales. Now, if you're investing in ads, you really want to make sure your investment is being used effectively, and Publishing Performance does just that. It aims to make your budget go further, improve your organic rank, and target keywords more effectively. You can get started with Amazon ads for free for 30 days at publishingperformance.com, and there's a link in the show notes to get that free 30 days trial. Thank you so much for tuning into the Publishing Performance Show. I really hope you found today's episode inspiring. I absolutely love chatting to authors, writers, and people in the publishing world. Now, just before we wrap up, I want to tell you about our Publishing Performance Starter Packs. These are curated episodes and collections organised by topic that makes it super easy to find the exact content you're looking for. So whether you're wanting to deep dive into marketing strategies, explore productivity techniques, or focus on any specific area of publishing, we've organised our episodes into targeted playlists just for you. And you can find these all at teddyagsmith.com. And also, whilst you're here, let me tell you about Publishing Performance. It's the #1 platform for authors who want to increase Amazon book sales but aren't really sure where to start. Now, this show is all about helping you to sell more books, and if you're looking to boost your publishing game and to maximise your book's potential on Amazon, then Publishing Performance is designed to help authors just like you to grow your readership and to reach a much wider audience. Now, I know that Amazon ads can be slightly complicated, which is why Publishing Performance is like having a personalised ad account manager to create your ad campaigns for you, to choose your best keywords and to make adjustments in real time and to optimise them over time to save you money and to make more sales. Now, if you're investing in ads, you really want to make sure your investment is being used effectively, and Publishing Performance does just that. It aims to make your budget go further, improve your organic rank, and target keywords more effectively. You can get started with Amazon ads for free for 30 days at publishingperformance.com, and there's a link in the show notes to get that free 30 days trial.